Okay. Oh, forgot to do that. Slide that box over. Alright, so we are live. It is Tuesday, excuse me. It's not Wednesday. We are not working on a magnet today. Shocker. I'm gonna take a little break from magneting. And we are going to work on an original this week. If I put that there, I could probably use the other side for a magnet, more than likely. Alright. Or another 5x5, maybe. Alrighty. So we've got just a piece of craft felt here. And I've got this 5x5 wooden blank, wooden square. Just kind of sectioning off this side, because I am curious. Can I get two of these? It'd be really tight. I could definitely use this other side for a magnet for sure. I just don't like having that little wiggle room on the edges. So we're gonna kind of treat this like we did the magnets, where I'm going to mount our finished piece on this wooden square here. And try to build a frame around it. Now, the only thing I don't know is if I'm going to be able to have it thin enough for the sticks that I have to work. Because this bit of wood is pretty thick. A lot thicker than our magnets wood was. Like a lot thicker. So that's a bit of a conundrum. Still that part there. Alright. Let me put that lid onto our pen. So, like, this is the thickness. So that's quite a bit thicker. And if I sit it on the edge, that doesn't give us much room. So I might have to sit it on top, which means I might have to shave. Oh, I don't know if that's gonna work. Because I might need to pick up some popsicle sticks. Or craft sticks, if you will. Potentially. We will see. We will see how things go. But that's what we're going to use for our backing. Where am I going to put you? I guess I'll put you back where you've been hanging out all this time anyway. So, nothing fancy about the felt. I'm still going through my older, weirdly sized craft felt. So the same felt that we were using for the magnets. Now again, this part, completely, totally, 100% optional. I mostly do this so that way, if I lose track of my outline, then I've got the tape. Because it's easy to lose track of your outline with the way things get shrunk and stretched and all that. It can happen. So I just kind of lay my tape out along the outer edge of the pen line. Does mean that I trim a little bit extra off the edges when I'm done, but that's okay. You just have to try to remember to account for that in our piece. So if we have something near the edge, we just need to extend it a little bit further into the item if we really, really want it to be visible. But the tape really doesn't do much. It'll bubble up as we go and become loose and stuff. That's just how it is, because you are manipulating the fiber underneath of it that it's sitting on. So, like, as you stab through with this particular felt thickness, it's not very thick. So, you know, it'll get pulled in on itself at times, or you'll stretch it out, pulling it up off of your mat. So these things happen. I am just kind of trimming that extra bit off of there. I probably should have given myself a little more boo-boo room on that edge, but we're gonna live dangerously today. Alright, that one can sit to the side. That one can sit to the side. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my mat. I did clean my mat earlier. It's not like pristine, but we did get a lot of the fluff off of there from the previous one. I forgot one thing. This doesn't feel square, it feels up. Well, see, now that I've got this guy in here, he looks bigger than I had intended, but things happen. So we're going to be following a photo I pulled off of Unsplash. This might look vaguely familiar if you've been around for a while. This one ended up on the YouTube channel where we did an oil painting with it, but I've kind of held on to it. I kind of wanted to do a needle felt with it, so we're just kind of reusing it. So the photographer was Mike Fox on Unsplash. If you are interested in finding that photo, and Unsplash has a bunch of essentially royalty-free photos that you can use. Alright, so let's see, how much water do we think we've got here? It's not a lot. of water in the picture. Now, granted, you could add as much water as you would like. Now, for some reason, my pen was boycotting here. Pen was like, no. Not quite straight, but it's not bad. Now there is a little strip of mountain in here. Now I'm not gonna necessarily sketch out the entirety of the mountains. And I'm not really gonna see that pen line. So, but I know where my marks are on the tape. Sorry, there's a fuzz tapping me if I don't get rid of it now. It's gonna drive me crazy. Alright, so we've got like our little mountains in the back here. There's a couple different planes, we have to kind of make them a little bit of a different shade. And then we've got our sky up here. I'm not gonna sketch out the boat because that we're gonna have to freehand. That's just the way it's gonna be. Alright, so let me grab my mat back again. So as I was saying, it did clean up pretty good. There's gonna be some fuzz that gets stuck into here. I mean, if you're really obsessed with it, you can get in there with your fingers and start like plucking it out. I don't really have that kind of time, so I just kind of went over it with the razor. I probably need a new razor, in all honesty, because that one I've got's probably pretty dull by now. But I also get weird about plucking it out because I'm afraid I'm going to damage the mat underneath, so that's okay. That fuzz can live there. That's fine. Not that terribly worried about it. So I am going to bring the sky down to here because I don't know for sure what parts are going to be visible behind the mountain, so I want to make sure that I'm filled in entirely just to make my life easier. Oof. Okay. Alright, so we've got our scissors. Let's get our needle. We've got our finger protectors on. They make my fingers sweat, so when I go to put them on after I've taken them off for like a week, they're a little stiff. But once they're on for a few minutes, they start to soften up and get a little more malleable. Now, this one was tricky for me because I wasn't sure what to do with the colors. So, my colors are going to be a little bit different than what we have in the photo because I don't really have this stretch of cloud color here. So it's like, oh, excuse me, and it might actually be sunrise, not sunset. I put on there sunset, but it might actually be sunrise. I'm not sure. Maybe it is sunset. We've got some what looks to be a swath of light blue. And then we've got like our oranges and whatnot and yellows down here. But in the middle, bridging the two, there seems to be this like almost like a colonial blue-gray cloud. It's not really gray. And it's not really blue. It's like a strange combination of the two. And I just don't have that color. So we're going to have to improvise and possibly use the color I picked out for the water for the same color as this strip, just because I don't know what to put here. Because all my other colors were either way too dark or way too bright. Or gray. And I didn't really want to put gray in there, because gray just didn't feel like it was going to fit with the other colors happening here. So I kind of was like, well, what am I going to do? That is a shade of blue I do not have. Partially why I would love to go yarn shopping in person and pick out the colors, because, you know, you can only tell so much from a website photo. But I don't really have like a yarn mega store around here. So, we're gonna just have to make do with what we got. Oh, right. We need, is this clean? This feels clean. Or do we want to use the other one? I mean, it's got some paint residue in there, but ooh, tap water, man. It reeks of chlorine. Like, really bad. That bottle's been closed for like 24 hours. That can knock you off your feet. Alright, so I'm gonna start out with sky blue. And we'll see what we can do with this. Now, my felt is fairly dark, so we might have to add some layering in here. I am definitely going to need water today. I can just tell by touching it that my hands do not have enough friction for this today. Alright, so kind of like from here to here. I'm gonna have it go a little bit further down than it probably really is, just so I can cover the cloud, or the sky with the cloud, so I can overlap it a bit. You don't necessarily have to do the overlapping that I do, but I just find it works a little bit better. And then I don't have any weird gaps or seams open up necessarily when two colors are next to each other. So I find that if we overlap a little bit, that helps. And then, you know, you might have some of the undercolor bleed up under, and it looks a little more I don't know if natural's the right word, but it might be. Alright, now I'm not really in a huge rush with this one, and this one is bigger than our magnet, so I have no idea how long this one's going to take us to do. More than likely we will not be done today, because we still have to build the frame, so it's probably going to be at least 2 sessions. At the very least. And don't forget, you want to pull up from your mat every so often. So maybe about there-ish. And again, don't be afraid to turn your piece. Nobody said that you're not allowed to. Like, that's just ridiculousness. If you need to turn it so you can see what the heck's going on, so you can see your placement, so you can reach your area that you are working in, then for goodness sakes, turn it. If somebody else doesn't believe in turning their work, that's on them. That's what works for them. But if you need to work upside down because it makes your brain happy, then you work upside down. I think, and I'm guilty of this too at times. I think we get so locked into how people teach how to do certain things that we're like, oh no, we must do it this way. And it's like, it's art. You're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to enjoy what you are doing. So let's get in there and have some fun. And we don't have to necessarily do the same sky colors that are in the photo. We can change it up a little bit if we so choose. Kind of depends on how adventurous we're necessarily feeling at that moment. This is my first time attempting this bad boy, so sorry, I was looking at the photo. I was like, I could change the watercolor entirely. Probably have the colors to change this into like tropical water. I mean, it could be tropical water. It's just the way that the light is hitting it that it looks so much darker. So this is a very light blue. Alright. Now I tend to stab right up to the edge of the tape, even though the tape is slightly over the pen line. That just kind of ensures that I am the right size, and I'm okay with trimming a little bit off the edges. Like, that's okay. Now, I still have some black embroidery thread from when we were doing that gingerbread house project eons ago. I did have to toss that because it broke. Like, the base broke, and then I didn't have anywhere to really keep it. But we'll see how we go here. We might use sorry, the dog had made a noise in her sleep and I was like, what? And my brain got distracted and kind of stuttered there. So now I'm buffering to get back to where I was. So that embroidery floss we could use on the rigging on the boat, or we could just stab it. Like, you don't have to necessarily mixed media the piece if you don't want to. We'll see what kind of mood I'm in by the time we get to the boat. We'll see. Because right now it's like, yeah, we could do that, and my brain might be like, why? Why did you say you were gonna do this when we get down to that part? So not like you really know how to sew very well, girl. And I don't, but it sounded like an interesting idea. Just to add a little bit of extraness to it. I kind of started at the edge of where I wanted my light blue section to be, and I'm kind of working up to the outer edge of the piece. Don't know why I'm working backwards today, but I am. Just kind of how that's working out. See, as you stab in, you're pulling all the little fibery bits together, so you can see that this is kind of pulling inward. It'll be alright, don't worry about it. See, we're okay. It's not as noticeable when we are working smaller, I don't think, but on the larger bits, it's a little bit more noticeable. Okay. So gently pop that up. You don't necessarily have to do this step, the brushing on the back, just to figure out where everything's oriented. That's totally a me thing. I do find that the front tends to lay a little bit flatter when I do that personally, but that's not like something that you need to necessarily do. I kind of want to add some more into there just because I'm not happy with the shade I'm at the moment. But let me work on getting this section up to our tape line here first. probably the better course of action here. And yeah, if your yarn's or fiber, whatever you're using, if it's a lighter color that looks better when it's layered up on itself, then, you know, this is your thing. So you color it as much as you want. Do keep in mind that if you do a lot of layers, you might need a thicker stick, like a wider stick to build your frame if you want to frame around it. So you might need to get some craft sticks if you can find some that are the appropriate size. Okay. If it doesn't want to pull up from the one direction, kind of go from the other. Remember, gentle. You don't want to just rip it off the mat because you might damage the mat. That's the main reason why we want to be a little extra careful there. Just a drop of water that I'm sliding across my palm, and then I'm just kind of running the fluff over it just to pull it a little bit tighter. You don't necessarily have to make these tiny little fluffy snakes if you don't want to. I just find it's a little bit easier to work with for me. But if you would rather just lay the fluff down like traditional needle felting landscapes gets done with the roving, then by all means. It's kind of a little bit of trial and error where you do what you're comfortable with and what works for you, essentially. Now, because my base felt is so dark, I might need to add, excuse me, a few more layers. Just because we are going to have some of that darkness shine through in sections. But if you like it kind of poking through, then you're all set. Again, this is just sort of fuss till you're happy kind of situation. All right. So I'm not quite sure how much, you don't want to have this dripping wet. If you get too much water on your finger, just kind of flick it back in your little water cup. You don't really need to go overboard there. But, yeah, it's just gonna come down to till you're happy with it. but I do recommend that you're happy with each layer before you move on to the next, because it's easier to adjust the current layer before you start putting stuff on top of it. The first stages of a new project are always a little boring, because you're just working on getting those first few bits of new color laid in there. So I still got a little bit of gray kind of visible there, so I just want to... Now, if you do hit the tape with your needle, if you do the tape, you don't have to. It just helps me. If you do decide to use the tape, and if you hit the tape, that's fine. Just make sure that you're not like felting through the tape. That might make things a little bit trickier when it comes time for tape removal. So if you do get some fluff stabbed through it, I would stop and either try to angle into the felt itself to see if you can get those fibers out of there, or maybe take your needle gently and get up under there, or maybe your scissors very, very gently to release that, because it might make interesting things happen when you go to pull the tape off in the end. This tape's not gonna stay there through the finished piece. And I feel like that might be a little bit thin right there. I don't know how it could be, but it does feel that way. I'm not sure if it's just my imagination or shadow. Gently, gently, gently. So it's a little bit harder to move around the mat on this one because of its size. I might add a little bit more there. It could just be ink from the pen also. That is a distinct possibility. Let me change how I'm sitting. Okay. So I'm gonna just kind of layer this guy up a little bit. Oh, so I have 4 more live streams to edit down on that last bead felt that I owe you guys. So that's exciting. That is very exciting. Getting so much closer to being done that, and then I have to start the really big edit. Of the needle, not the needle, the tissue paper project. Like, that's gonna be quite the endeavor, because I'm nervous to get to editing that because I don't even know what I've got, because my back has been to a lot of the recording. Part of the recording was out of focus from last week that I did, and I didn't know it till after the fact, and I was like, it started out in focus, and the camera and light tipped. Husband got caught on it, and after that point it went out of focus, and I don't understand why it went out of focus, because autofocus was on. It should have refocused itself, but I guess it was cranky, and I didn't realize it till after I had cut that section of footage when I went to check on how long that part had been, and I was like, what is this? And my one monitor is always a little fuzzy. I thought it was the monitor. It wasn't the monitor, because I took autofocus off and it cleared up, and I was like, shit. So there might be chunks that don't get shown on that one. I might have to edit a little bit differently on that one. Kind of depends on what I've got to work with. And I'm not really sure what I'm looking for on that edit yet, so I don't want to beg the husband to take a look at it. And he hates editing about as much as I do anyway. I mean, heck, the other night I got through 45 minutes of video, and that was a big deal for me. I usually can only get through like 10 to 15 minutes at a time because I get so distracted, and the more tired I get, the more distracted I get. And lately I've really only had time at the very end of the day to deal with editing. Because the day is pretty much non-stop. Because we get up, doggos go to the park, well, one doggo gets fed, then we go to the park. Then the other doggo gets fed. And doggo A needs to be entertained while doggo B is being fed, so he has a chance to eat. And sometimes doggo B needs to be fed by hand. It kind of depends on what kind of mood he's in. And then we have to feed ourselves. And then it's setting up for stream and possibly starting early depending on what we're doing. And then after stream, it's stream cleanup, which can take a few minutes, and then doggo B is like, let's go, and I'm like, it's a little early, buddy, and he's like, I don't care. So a lot of times it's like, okay, then we have to get back, and then I have to start dinner, and dinner takes a little bit, so we have to feed the guinea pigs, the doggos, us, and then after I'm done eating, then it's time for dishes. And there's not much downtime in between there. And then it's after dishes, I get like maybe an hour and a half of not having to do anything. And depending on the weather, around 8:30, doggo A goes out for the last time. Doggo B thinks about it. Sometimes he wants to go out. Sometimes he would prefer his puppy pad. Whichever floats his boat. Because he's got the old man joints. Sometimes it's just too much for him to schlep around the yard, and I get that. That's why we have the puppy pads, because he's a bit wobbly on his feet at his age. And then we have to do a few things with my mom before she goes to bed, and then sometimes we go to bed anywhere between like 9:30 and 11 lately. It's been harder to go to bed early lately. So sometimes I will try to get editing done up until about 9:30, and then my brain's like, nope, you're done. We just need to not be doing anything and shut down for a while, but we're not quite sleep tired yet. And I'm like, really, brain? We're gonna do this today. And then, you know, you kind of don't have much of a choice. Or at least I don't. When my brain gets to that stage of the day, it's just, it's done. So, stream days are definitely busier than non-stream days, but non-stream days, it depends. Like, we still do the same stuff in the morning and at night, but what happens between when we get back from the working place and dinner can vary. Sometimes we have to go run errands. Sometimes, lately, I've been working on the tissue paper project, and that's a little bit. That takes some setup. I have so much time to edit once we're done with that guy. I've only got a few more working sessions left to go on that guy. Last week, I got most of one tree trunk done, except for a little tiny bit that I had done the week before. The remaining tree trunk that I have to do isn't as wide as the one I did last week. So I don't know if it's gonna take me as long. I might be able to do that in one sitting. Depends on how focused I am, I guess. Alright. Now, because I'm only gonna have 2 potential days to work on it this week, because we have to do errands on Thursday. We're not really doing anything special on Friday. We're not grilling or anything. I suppose I could make burgers if we have any. We'll see. But we're not like going to any fireworks or anything. I'm not that big into fireworks. They're loud and they upset me. I guess I could put my noise canceling headphones in and just go view it, but meh. Besides, they're doing fireworks in our town on the 3rd. And I wouldn't leave the doggos alone because one doggo gets upset about loud noises usually, and they can be very loud because they're just doing it down the street from our house. There's been a couple that were so loud we thought something went wrong at times. Like the whole house shook, and I was like, oh. It's like, excuse me. That was how many blocks away? So I wouldn't leave him to process what these loud bangs are all by himself, and he certainly wouldn't want to be there. So we're not really doing anything Friday. Oh, we have to do some yard work on Friday. That's what we need to do. If the weather's cooperating. I don't know how long that will take. I might write Friday off depending on how long it takes us to deal with that. And I might just leave it to Saturday this week. And that might be the better plan, because if I can get the one tree trunk done in one day, then that gives me all of next week to get the fronds done on the palm trees and to seal it. So that might be the better way to go, because I don't necessarily think the fronds on both trees are going to take more than a day. Could be wrong about that. But it's going to take a full day to seal this guy. Because I'm gonna have to do a few coats, and then there's dry time in between the coats of approximately 30 minutes. So we will have to see. How things go. Now, I am using acrylic yarn. We've been doing this with acrylic yarn for most of the time that we've been doing this, like live streaming it. I think there was maybe one piece that we did with the roving. So it can be done with yarn. Yarn does involve a little bit more prep work. So do keep that in mind if you decide to go with the yarn, but the yarn is a bit more budget friendly, and also an alternative if you have a wool allergy, since the Roving, the pre-bought, pre-fluffed Roving that you get in this state already, it's wool, so some people are allergic to it. But I like using the yarn, even though it takes a little bit of time to get it prepped. Like it doesn't take like days. Like it depends on how much fluff you want to use for your project. I am of the thought process of when I get a new color, I will fill my fluff container, my fluff bag of that shade to the top, and then I'll put the skein away. And then I will refill it as needed. But this way I have all of the colors ready to go when I want to work on something. So find that a little bit easier. I'm excited. We're going to be switching my desk orientation around. I think we can clip the Elgato to the shelving that I had. I might flip the monitors, and we might switch the art side to the longer side. Well, no, because my keyboard's over there. Can't do that. We'll see. We'll see what we decide to do, but it'll be nice to not have the door constantly banging it, because no matter what I do, the desk keeps sliding towards the door because of how I have to get up sometimes because of the rug that's under my chair. But if I don't have the rug, then my chair will just slide across the floor. So the floors are not level, which makes things a little bit of a challenge at times. Okay. So I'm trying to fill in any spots that look a little bit lighter than I wanted them to as I go. But again, I am not in a huge hurry on this project. I'm just not. We'll get there when we get there. I know a lot of people might want to see a finished product at the end of the stream, but sometimes that's just not feasible. Sometimes stuff takes a little bit of work. Now, the 3x3s were taking approximately 8 hours. I have a feeling this is probably going to take more than 8 hours. More than likely. Especially since I'm not really following any kind of guideline, we're just going. We're on our own on this one. It's the wild, wild west on this piece. Essentially. But so basically you get your ball of yarn, right? From the store, your skein. And it's all plied and pretty and stuff. So and I use the acrylic yarn. I think that you can probably do the brush out technique on most yarn. Probably not like the sugar and cream, and probably not the Chanel. It needs to be like the red heart kind of plied and twisted. Um, but you could probably do it on like multiple types. Um, it's just that like the sugar and cream is kind of more like string. Um, so that's really not gonna work for this. It has to have some fuzz consistency to it. So like not the stuff that you would use to do like the dishcloths and things. It needs to be like you could probably do it with baby yarn if you had to, but there's like this new yarn that's out that's supposed to be good for beginners learning to crochet like plushies and things. That's more of like a cord, like a solid cord, I think, from looking at it on videos. But you definitely want the twisty ply that when you touch it and you can like kind of unravel it with your fingers. Then, you know, aside from the sugar and cream stuff, you should be okay. But it needs to look like something that you can brush out of its twist and get fluff. So this would kind of be its pre-plied state. Like if you've ever watched people that dye their own wool to make their own yarn and stuff, that put it on the drum, this is what it would kind of be like when it comes off the drum before it's plied into the yarn skeins. Sort of situation. So you would just cut some lengths, some small lengths, like I wouldn't go bigger than this. Some people go bigger than that if they have a self-healing cutting mat to brush the yarn out on top of, but I hold mine in my hand because I just find it's easier. And I don't have a self-healing cutting mat right now. If I had the cutting mat, I would probably go a little bit longer, but I don't like the scritchy sound of using cardboard, and then the cardboard shreds too. So, I mean, it doesn't really, like, you'd have to replace the cardboard as you go. So I just hold it in my hand. So I go like smaller lengths, like maybe this long-ish. And I brush one side and then I flip it over and then brush out the section that I was holding. And you know, you're gonna pull the fluff out of your brush. And by brush, I don't mean like a hairbrush. I mean like this is a dog grooming brush. It's a sticker brush, I think. Can't remember if it's slicker or sticker. I think it's sticker. And it's got the little like metal elbows in there. The tines are bent at a slight angle. That's what you want to do if you're gonna do or use if you're using the acrylic yarn. Don't get the plastic teeth. I know it's tempting to get the plastic teeth. They will snap on you. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm telling you from experience, they will snap on you. Because I didn't have a metal one. And I was like, well, this will be good enough, right? I mean, it was good until the teeth started snapping. They didn't start snapping right away. But they did start snapping, and then I was trying to pull the teeth out of my fluff, and I ended up getting a metal one anyway, so just saying. That brush I think was $7. Excuse me. And I think I got that at, I want to say Walmart. feel like it was at Walmart. Sorry, sometimes I forget where the mat is actually positioned. I have a mark on my desk, so you can kind of see my finger here. So like this line, I know if the mat is like below it, I need to check to see where I'm at. But if I've got the edge of the mat like on it, I should be good. I feel like I'm a little far away. Oh, I was a little far away. Okay. Felt like I was reaching halfway across the desk. I'm like, my neck is getting tired. What is happening? So we're coming along on our circle painting. I noticed last night a spot that I missed doing the black outline, but that's okay because we're not done with the black outline yet. So we can fix that next week, and we should be starting our dots and whatnot. What's up?
Just gonna go out and cut back a couple bushes and whatnot.
Oh, okay. I thought you needed my help.
Nope.
Alright. Oh, hey! Don't forget the tick spray for going out back.
Oh no, just hit stuff around the driveway and whatnot.
Okay. I'm gonna get this section here because I haven't really dabbed that yet. Now I did pull out a bunch of colors that I think I'm gonna use on this off of my fluff wall. I really need to refill my fluff bags. Maybe that's some of what I can work on Friday. So I do need to refill some colors, but I also need to get some editing done. I want to be done this video edit so bad. It is so overdue. I would like to get the speed all done, you know, but I think it's been about a year. Just I got backlogged with stuff. Life kind of took over for us for a little bit. All right. So, get this worked into the edge here. It's actually one of the coolest days it's been lately. Crazy. I was telling them, like, if you were planning on mowing anytime soon, today would probably be the day. I don't think we had to mow quite this much last summer. Because it was so dry. I mean, I'm glad we've gotten a lot of rain this spring into summer, so that way we're not quite too deep into the drought margins. Because we were definitely into drought territory last summer. One 100%. Alright, now you can totally, if you feel like you've been stabbing for a little bit, totally pop that up even before it's all completely stabbed in. If you just don't want to get too attached to the mat. This is a little bit thin in there, so I'm going to need to add a little bit more into that section. But so far, I'm hopeful for this guy. See how it goes. Oh, and I want to thank you guys for the love that you are showing. Honey, I joined a cult over on the YouTube channel. I've got a total of 49 sessions recorded for that. I need to edit session 31 through 49 still, but I have up to session 30 recorded, edited, and scheduled. I have completed the game on that one playthrough, and that was pretty fun. It was cute. I definitely lost time in that game, which is usually a good sign for me. Where I look up and I'm like, oh geez, it's been that long. So that's a good thing for me. It had the like Planet Zoo effect, Planet Coaster effect, where you're losing chunks of time in there. Which is tough because when you're recording and you're trying to have a certain amount of time per video, but those types of games, like Bear and Breakfast and Honey, I Joined a Cult, it was hard at times to keep them to a certain length unless I started really editing out a lot of stuff. Because you're waiting for money to accumulate, or there's just like everyday little things that you need to take care of in the game. But it's also part of the game, and I didn't want to necessarily take that out. So, people got a more true representation of what they'd be getting into if they decided to play it. So I didn't want to cut too much of it out. So, I mean, there's times where I'm pausing for the phone ringing in the background, or, you know, I'm asking the husband about something. Because, I mean, we have lives here, and I hate editing. Some stuff I do have to edit out, but I tried to keep that to a minimum. So if there was something that I should have taken out and forgot to, like a large chunk of time where I had to walk away for a second, I do apologize. I tend to not watch the playback because I honestly hate the sound of my own voice. Like on Like, my voice sounds one way in my head, and then when I hear it back on video, I'm like, oh no. No, no, no. That's okay. But I think a lot of people are like that, where they're weird about hearing their own voice outside of their head. So, hmm. Still seems a little bit thin in that spot, which is a little frustrating because I'm not sure why, but at the same time, I don't know if that is going to matter so much. Might not. Okay. So we'll get this next bit worked into here. I might still add another little piece in there. See how much it starts bugging me. Although it's kind of bugging me already, so I'm probably just delaying the inevitable. Okay. So we might be getting my mom a latch hook kit. It's hard to find roosters though. I found 2 on Amazon. There were a couple of chickens. There was one that I liked, but it wasn't being sold through Amazon. It was being sold through a third party. And I've bought through third party with them, and sometimes it took like over a month to show up before the tariffs. So I'm not so certain that it would show up. And then that got me thinking about, I haven't done a latch hook in a while. I actually found a website. You know, I just had the thought of, wow, we haven't had a advertisement yet today. We're doing pretty good. And it popped up. Because of course it did. Alright, let me fill this out. At least Moobot caught this one. Not sure if it was best viewers or cheap viewers. Best viewer. Okay, so that takes care of that. And now I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, latch hooks. So, I found this one website that I think you could do custom latch hooks on. I don't know if I still have the website. So, if it comes to it, we could try to find some rooster photos. Maybe try to do that. She said she was bored and couldn't take it anymore, needed to do something, so she went to go get stuff to make a pillow. And she's like, but I can't read the directions. I'm like, we can blow the directions up for you. I've got the scanner. We can enlarge it and then like tape it together so you can see it. We just have to make sure we've got toner, that's all. So let me stab that bit in there because I just realized I didn't fully attach that section. So like I said, when you're first getting going, especially on a new piece, it takes a little bit of time to get it going. So I mean, it's not always super exciting on the beginning stages. So what'd you end up cutting down?
Stuff in the that blocking or doing stuff.
Oh, around the carport?
Yeah. We'll see the carport.
I'm sure the bees weren't happy with you. They were going after that catnip over there. What are you doing?
I'm filling the foot thing.
You're what?
The thing we put our feet in.
Uh-huh.
Just filling that with water.
Oh, you're filling it. I did not hear the filling word. I thought you said something else. And I was very, very confused. Because that didn't make sense. So why the foot thing? Well, I mean, you did spend all day in those new shoes yesterday.
Not for painting, but just because of excess skin stuff.
Oh. You might actually have to put lotion on your feet.
Yeah, at some point.
I mean, you got that other stuff for, although that might just be for your heels. But I mean, I've got lime lotion out the wazoo, so.
Yeah, I'll probably start using some.
So this guy. I actually think I need to tap that down a little bit more in there. Because that felt not quite as attached as I wanted it to be. So I doubt this will take anywhere near as long as the 8x10s, because I mean, this isn't that big. So we might end up somewhere in between. Okay. So I might need to add a little bit more on here. We will see. How that starts to look, because sometimes it'll look a little odd with the way the layers go in, but then by the time I get to the next layer it kind of loses that weird look to it sometimes. Not all the time though. So I think it's just gonna depend. That spot right there is kind of irking me. I'm really trying not to let it, but it is. So I'm gonna have to do something about it. Let me see if I can get this jabbed into here. That is one of the nicer things about this, is that, you know, if you're not happy with the way a section is looking, you can either try to rip it out. I don't know if you'd be able to reuse it afterwards, but it's either rip it out or cover it up. I tend to go with cover it up, because that just seems to be the easiest direction to go in if something's just not laying quite how I want it to lay. And again, you can stab this as much or as little as you want. That's gonna kind of be an up to you situation. Just have a little bit of a fluffy knot. Just seeing if I can pull it out without losing too much fuzz. Because I don't want it too knotted, because I mean the needle does have to pass through it. And if it's too knotted, there's a chance that Mr. Needle won't be real happy about that. So we'll just work on getting our next bit of fluff in here. Okay. Ooh, tomorrow we'll be back at Planet Zoo, you guys. Now, I didn't blueprint the butterfly house. I'm not sure if I should. It depends on if we make all of the butterfly houses cookie cutter in that section. And we probably will just for simplicity. So I might need to try to see if I can blueprint that. But we'll figure that out tomorrow. Alright, so we've definitely got our fluff layered up, I think, to how it should be. Because, you know, first pass, it was very not blue. So it's at least looking light bluish now. If I just had a slightly gray version of this shade that was a little deeper, that would have been perfect for the that cloud. But just didn't. I might try to add, if we go with the non-tropical water, try to make it a little bit closer to what we've got. I might try to add some strands of maybe dark denim into that water. We'll have to see. Oh, I can see little tiny flecks of light like bouncing off of this felt. And at certain times it almost looks like little tiny pieces of glitter, but I haven't had glitter anywhere near this. So I think it's just from whatever material they made this out of. Some felt has like recycled plastic bottles put into it. I don't know if this stuff does. Because I don't have the packaging for it anymore. I know the stuff I was getting from... Oh, shit. Oh, well, no, I wasn't... Okay, never mind. I was like, wait, I got some of my craft felt from Joann's. But I was having to get some of it from Hobbs as well. Just because I didn't trust the sizing of it completely from the sellers on Amazon anymore. After I got burned with the one set. Do I need to deal with that?
Hmm?
Do I need to deal with that?
Deal with what?
The dog?
It would be very inconvenient to try to do so right now.
Did you even bring yourself a towel?
No, I did not.
Oh, husband. Alright, you guys, I think... Which dog is it? Oh, they both went and laid down. Never mind. I thought somebody was standing there. Never mind. It sounded like someone was standing next to the husband, but... I heard clicky clackies of the nailies. Okay. Probably gonna turn the mat here soon. Just so we're stabbing into a different area. I have been trying to be more more aware of that so that I'm not constantly tapping into the same spot. Okay. We're getting there. On this color, at least. So I think I might grab our yellow and do this section and put that cloud on last, so that way it's kind of overlapping both of them. Excuse me. That might be the better way to go here. Let's go ahead and turn that guy. Alright, so I need to add a little bit more in this section. I mean, there completely, but like right there, it's pretty obvious. So that big cloud kind of sits like from here, kind of down to here, and then kind of like comes up to here. But I want to have my other colors in place before I start laying that on. Don't know what color to do the sun because it's kind of like peeking up over the mountain ridge, but it almost looks white. There's like a little tiny sliver of white in there. Arm's getting a workout today. That's for sure. All right. So we line this dude up here. The next time that we're at Walmart in Fayetteville, I want to see how much the ice cream cakes are. And what sizes they have. Okay? Husband? He has his headphones on. Husband?
Mm-hmm.
The next time we're at the Fayetteville Walmart, I want to see how much the ice cream cakes are.
Okay, why?
Because
I'm objecting, just asking.
I might want that for my birthday.
Okay.
Just for something different.
Yeah, no problem.
I used to always get one for years from this one particular bakery.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was just sitting here, I was like, you know what? I haven't had an ice cream cake in forever. And I don't know what I want to do for my birthday this year. And I don't really want one from Dairy Queen because I didn't like their cookie crumble the one time I had it. I can't remember why I ended up with one from Dairy Queen. I think maybe the bakery closed or something. I don't know. There was a reason.
All I know is that the Dairy Queen one is the one I was familiar with you getting.
Mm-hmm.
You never had any other one before?
Okay, maybe that bakery closed then. Or for some reason we just didn't get one from them that year. I don't know if we didn't order it soon enough or maybe it was too expensive that year. Because we used to go to this place called Penguins in, oh gosh, where was it? Was it Northfield? Summers Point? Somewhere there. Might have been Northfield. Or maybe they weren't doing ice cream cakes anymore. I can't remember. But I know I wasn't a huge fan of the one that we had gotten from Dairy Queen. The cookie was a different... The chocolate cookie crumble base was different than what I had been used to. And my brain was like rejecting it. And I'm like, no. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I was expecting. But it's been so long since I've had one. Hopefully my brain won't be like, it's just not the same. If they're too expensive, then we'll just get chocolate.
If that's what you want, we'll figure it out.
Well, I have to see. Because I do believe I saw a little refrigerator up at the bakery that had the Carvel ice cream cakes in them.
Yes.
I just don't know if it's still there. But we might need to pop in there anyway on this shopping trip. I'm not sure how much stuff I have left for spaghetti sauce, and that's the Walmart we have to go to get it, because our closest Walmart doesn't have it. For some reason, our closest supermarket Walmart doesn't carry cans of tomato puree anymore, and I don't know why. I am hearing a doggy. What did you do? Get tired of waiting and went and laid back down? You weren't even waiting that long. What time is it? 12:38. Okay, let me get the doggo out. And I still need to fill in here. But like I said, I'm taking my time. It's a little bit larger than what we've been working on. So it's going to take a little bit more time. But give me a few minutes. Oh, and there's the phone. So I will be right back. Okay. We're back. Sorry, I had to change what was playing through my headphones. Sometimes you just have one of those days where nothing you're listening to is doing it for you. Or maybe I'm just an oddity that happens to. Wouldn't be surprised. Alright, so let's work on filling in a couple of these remaining thin spots here. See how we do here. Really is a nice day out. Bit of a breeze. It's not stifling, oven roasting hot out. Not like it's been for the past couple of days. Slightly sad that we're not doing something outside, but then again, what would we do? Okay. I think after I get this one popped into place, I just have a little bit more up in here. It looks very white on the back of this. Really, doggo? You're killing me, Smalls. Daddy might have to cut his foot soaks short. Because you didn't want to go with me. Whatever's going on, he wants you. So I don't know if he's hungry or what.
Did you seriously start whining the moment I said that?
Who whined? I didn't hear it. All I know is that I sat there with his harness and he didn't want to get up for me. He was not having any of my nonsense. Snuffles, on the other hand, perked right up. She did pee. She got a little closer to the bee-infested catnip than I wanted her to be, but she did definitely pee. There. We peel that up, and we will fluff that down. I think I need just a teeny bit more up here in this corner. Mostly because I'm not sure what's going to be visible up in this corner. So I would rather just cover it now than have a ass shit moment after the fact. I don't need that piece of cat hair though. That can get out of there. Not the right color to be a dog. There. Let me pop that guy up. Like, the back looks pretty good. Like, pretty filled in. I'm not seeing any patches that don't look like we've got anything stabbed into there. Alright. So, let me grab that bit of fluff. And let me close off that bag. Okay. So I think I'm gonna go with Varsity Gold for the majority of this strip in here. What's up? Oh, he might be dumping that. So I think we'll go with Varsity Gold. And then I will grab my melon for some sections in here. I don't know if I want to go with melon or the coral. Coral might be the better choice. So I'm gonna have my strip of cloud. So I'm gonna have this basically fill in this whole section, and then we'll sheet it in, and then I'll have the cloud like kind of land on top here. That does mean that a good portion of the yellow will get covered, but that's okay. because we're planning for that. And I think if I don't do it that way, it's gonna look a little strange. So, gonna work this in on my sort of horizon line. So I'm gonna need to like have the mountains kind of sitting in here. Yeah, so my desk shifting right there was from the door opening and hitting it, so I'm really looking forward to flipping this desk around. Of course, it's probably going to take me a full day of work to get it flipped around, because I'm going to have to disassemble everything that I've got sitting on it, like take everything off, pull everything out of my little corner here to rearrange my corner. But we also need to pull the crab tank down. I have to get the tape measure out and see if this is even feasible with the crab tank stand in here. The stand is falling apart. So I like really don't want to keep it because it's all like pressed chipboard. Oh, that's in there. That did not want to cooperate there. Like, this doesn't necessarily have to be completely spot on. It's the way that the mountains are gonna come up. So this can come down. Actually, we might want to take that a little bit down into the mountain section. So that way I've got the mountain dips and low points covered. That might be the better course of action. Like, as long as I've got this is the base for where the mountains are gonna extend up over. So yeah, I probably should be bringing this down into here. So we should probably be doing that regardless. Alright, this looked a little more yellowy, I thought. It kind of has like an Indian yellow feel to it. Maybe not quite as bright, maybe a slightly dulled down Indian yellow. You know, we'll see how it goes. It also might feel a little dulled down on top of the gray too. That is another factor to consider. I'm actually tempted to take it all the way down to there, but that would probably be overkill because the mountain shapes are going to cover most of that. But at least then I would know for sure that we are set up to succeed here. What if we come like halfway? Hmm. I don't know. Gotta see how we're like it's messy right now because I don't have it like fully tapped in here. Maybe it would be a little bit neater to fill it down to that line. So did that make him happy?
A little bit.
Did he ever pee?
No, he just
Buddy.
laid in the sun. I was okay with laying in the sun, but the grass can't.
Okay. So we'll get this stabbed into here. And we'll see how far we get with this color. Because my neck's a little angry today. It's been angry for a couple of days, but we'll see how we do today. So the very edge, if it's not like right up to it, we should be okay. But I want to try to get it neatened up a little bit. This color feels like it's just being a little bit messy. So yeah, I think I'm gonna bring it to the bottom edge. That way I know that, or this bottom line. That way I know I've definitely got some room to work with the dips and the valleys and everything. I'd rather have full ass coverage than be scrambling to try to fix something. If I don't have to. Used this color that much. Like, we've used it for like some trees and stuff, but I think this is the first time I'm really, I could be wrong about that, but it kind of feels like first time we're using it for a large swath of anything. So I'm probably going to use not a huge amount, but you know, a bit of this guy. To get the right amount of coverage. So that way we don't have too much thinness here. This isn't a section where that gray poking through is really going to work for me. That all good and stabbed into there. Alright, yeah, so that's looking a little bit better. So I know I work sideways a lot, but it helps me make sure that I'm up against my edges and stuff is where I want it to be. And helps me see things that I might not if I was just looking at it from this direction. So just kind of cleaning up this far edge here. Because if I'm going to clean it up, I want to do it now before I get too far ahead of myself. While we're in a good place to address it. Hope everybody's Tuesday's going all right so far. Doesn't really feel like a Tuesday. I don't know why. I don't know what a Tuesday is supposed to feel like. but I don't know. This doesn't feel very Tuesday-like to me. Kind of feels more like a Wednesday to me than anything. Probably why I said it was Wednesday when we first were getting started. Alright. So, again, just filling in our edge here. And filling in any thin spots that we've got happening. Alrighty. Can't tell if it's this section of the mat or if it's the fluff or if it's a combination of all of it, but it's being a little bit extra right in there. Nah, it's probably just the fluff. Although it's a little bit easier. I need to get that section of fluff a little bit thicker. So, like, right up on the line can be a little bit thinner because we are going to have the mountains filling in on that section. It's just when I get about halfway through this space, I definitely need to make sure that my thin spots are kind of kept more to a minimum, since there's not going to be another color coming in over top of this necessarily. Like, in spots we'll have the mountain peaks in there, but we'll see how things shape up. Alright, so again, I'm just kind of getting that up against my edge. Now, I know some of that edge is probably going to get trimmed off. I acknowledge this, but it's one of those things that my brain's like, you need to fix that. So, some things are worth fighting against. That's not one of them. Not really. Alright. We'll get this. And right now I'm trying to figure out, do I want to bring this all the way up? Into here? I might get like pretty close to it, just to make sure that we're good. Technically, I could come all the way up to the edge of it, but we are going to have other colors coming in. So I don't know if I really need to be right up on the very edge. Probably really don't need to be. Okay. Our next bit of fluff and stuff. So this is sideways at the moment. I will turn it right back the way it should be in a few minutes, just so we can get a look at how we're doing. But when I am working on getting our colors first slotted in here, I do tend to work sideways, because I have a much easier time seeing where I'm at that way. Alright, so we are working on, let me see if my mouse will, so we're working on this chunk, this little triangle here, and we're going to fill that in with this color, and then we will add our other shades in on top of it, so that way it kind of looks more like cloud layers, with this being pushed further back. That's the whole idea that we're trying to go with. Alright. So, let's see. This guy, that last bit that we popped in there was a little bit thin. I can see some of our gray kind of poking up through there. Right here, I'm okay with that being a little thin. So we're going to have our mountains laying in on top of that. It'll be fine. The higher we get, though, and the closer we get to up here, I would definitely rather have that be filled in a bit more solidly. And I don't know what color frame I might put on this guy yet. I was originally thinking black, but I've got jute rope that we're going to use to hang it with, and that's going to look a little strange, so I might see if I have the right shade of blue. If I have a blue that's kind of close to our cloud color there in the middle, then I might go with that just to kind of help pull everything together a bit better. And that color wouldn't look so strange with the jute rope hanging from it. So this is Varsity Gold, and it definitely has like some golder elements to it, but it also feels like there's a little bit of yellow kind of mixed into it, because certain spots feel a little more orange than others. Alright, that spot is a little bit of trouble. Let me get some more fluffy stuff out of our container. don't want you too large and in charge here. Don't really have that big of a spot to tap into. All right. That looks like that might be a little bit better now. Yeah, that's a little better. All right. Time for well, you know what? This section's a little more ragged when we brushed it out, so get a little bit of water, just a drop. If it feels like you've got too much water on your finger, just kind of like flick it back in. You don't want this wet, you just want friction on your hand. So you can try to shape your fluff if you want to shape it. If you just want to lay it down and stab it in where it sits, that's also an option. I prefer to shape it into little fluffy snakes, just because I feel like the coverage is a little bit better that way. But again, that's me, that's a personal preference. You can also just grab your fluff and kind of lay it down and just kind of stab it in. Very much an option. So my triangular shape's a little bit bigger because I'm trying to fill in enough so that when I put that cloud in, it overlaps. We will cover some of this, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'd rather overlap and lose some of the colors that are already down's visibility than have like weird gaps and seams and stuff show up that then I'm trying to scramble to fix. I'd rather overdo than underdo. And don't forget, you do want to pop up off of your fabric mats if you are using a fabric mat pretty regularly. Because if you should forget to do that, you're probably going to have a bit of a hard time getting that up off of the mat. Now, I am using acrylic yarn. So, if you are using roving, you might have a slightly different experience. Hi, cow. Meow. I can hear him meowing in the other room. I'm not exactly sure why he's being boisterous. At least I think it's cow. It could also be Peabody. In fact, it might actually be Peabody. Cow has this, like, I smoke 6 packs of cigarettes a day meow. Not entirely sure who it is. I think Peabody was mad at the level of food in the cat dishes. To the point that we put 2 of the same dish out that he likes to eat out of. And I swear it looked like they were boycotting the one bowl, and I don't know why. Is it the spot that it's in? It doesn't make any sense. I'm sure it makes sense in cat logic, but I just don't know what that is at this point. Right, so I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap between the two. Because I don't need to fill it all the way up because we will have that cloud sitting there. We're just not quite to cloud time yet. I like working in smaller bits of fluff. You can work in larger bits. Nothing wrong with that. Just my arm gets tired, so working in the smaller bits gives my arm a chance to rest in between. So we'll start stabbing in this bit here. These are finger protectors for anybody that's new here. They keep any potential injury if I miss and hit my finger from being worse. I can't say preventing it entirely because I have stabbed through these. It is possible because your girl's done it. But it's not too bad. It's like a prick with like a sewing needle through these. I do recommend wearing them even though they can be a little cumbersome, especially for making critters. Mostly because it hurts and there's little notches cut into here. There's little tiny bits and I don't know what that would do if it went through your finger. I don't want to think about it. I know that it would hurt. But I don't know what kind of damage that would do trying to pull it back out the way it came. So, especially if there might be fluff in it, that might be a bit troublesome to get the fluff out. Probably require at minimum an urgent care visit to make sure you got all of the fluff out of it. We're not doing too bad here though. So this, it's hard to tell with zoom levels and whatnot, but we are working on a 5x5 piece. So not a magnet this time. This felt too big to be a magnet, to be perfectly honest. So we're gonna make this guy a wall hanging. I'm not putting much pressure on this. It's just my finger resting on it. Because if I didn't do that, then it's going to pull everything in way faster than I really want it to. I mean, if you don't care, then whatever. But I just didn't need quite that much fluff pulled into that particular spot. So at least until I get it kind of anchored down into place, I will do that at times, just to keep all of it from being pulled into one particular spot. Alright. So we'll get this guy worked into here. And I'm not really rushing, but we are going to make this similarly to the magnets, right? So, peel this guy up here. So when we get done, we'll remove the tape around the outside edge, and then we will measure it up to our backing that I'm going to use. And then we will trim around any excess and we will mount it onto here, and then we will build our frame around it. I might have to get different sticks. if the thickness is a little too much, but we'll see. While we are out, I might see how much a box of popsicle sticks are and see if I can do something with that. They have to be the right length, though. So I need to measure these, and then I'll either check Walmart or Dollar General. And see what we've got. Again, the goal here or there was not to saturate the fluff. We're not wet felting. That is a different beast entirely. It's just to put enough friction on my hand to shape this guy. Alright. So I'm gonna flip this guy around here. And we'll work on this side a little bit. And I'm a little bit fussy with how much I want stuff stabbed in, so my stuff takes a little bit longer. But we won't have a finished piece today. And this will get archived on the YouTube channel, like the other live streams. So I am using a photo from Unsplash. They've got a bunch of royalty-free photos on there that you can use and do stuff with. Photographer on this one was Mike Fox. Now, we have used this photo before for an oil painting magnet that I did, and I liked it enough where I wanted to attempt to felt this guy, because, you know, why not? Why not? Has nothing to do with the fact that I didn't really have that much free time to dig through Unsplash to find another photo. Absolutely not. No, I really did like this photo, though. I enjoyed this one, so I have a photo I took that I want to do with something. Or do something with. I kind of want to attempt a painting with it. But I don't know if I want to do acrylic or gouache or possibly oil, but I'm gonna break the oil paints out. I kind of want to have a couple different things I'm gonna do at once because the dry time and the mess the mess with it. But we'll see what I end up doing with that. I could do multiple different mediums with it. See which one I like. You know, it's not gonna, it's me, so it's not gonna come out the same every time anyway. Because I'm always gonna be like, well, maybe if I try it this way. Because I know me. I know my brain. So the odds of something coming out the same every time, very small, to say the least. But I am so excited to almost be done the tissue paper project. So excited. So we've been working on that guy for like a full 6 months now. Just about 7, because I had started prep work for it like just after Christmas. So because I had to cut all that paper that we ordered. And it was easier to just cut it, even if it was a color I wasn't necessarily using for that particular project. It's easier to cut it than try to store it and keep it from getting all messed up. So at least when it's cut, it's in the bags and it's a little bit more easily contained. So this one got a little unruly when I was brushing it out, I guess. Got a couple strands in there that didn't get fully fluffed. Probably really won't be that much of an issue though. Okay. This guy popped into here. Okay. Sorry, it's an achy body day today, so I have to keep changing how I'm sitting to try to find a way that's a little more comfortable. Now that is P-Butt. I don't think the microphone's picking it up, but it sounds like he's getting into trouble somewhere behind me. Okay. That's filling in pretty good. Now that we're stretching our legs out here, starting to fill in the middle parts. P-Butt. No. Leave it be. Get out of there. Come here. Come here. He's trying to do something in our pantry. At the base of it. I can see some kind of box sitting at the bottom of our pantry shelves, but I don't know what that box is. I can't make that out from here. But it sounds like he's messing with something he shouldn't be. Mr. Meowny himself. Such a CEO position. Mr. Meowny. Quarter profits are holding steady. Here at Meowny's. Keeps trying to run this place like I'm a Meowny employee. And I keep trying to tell him this is a Burritos. But he just doesn't want to listen. And just keeps on meowing. Which is really rude because he's not observing the quiet hours of Burritos. At all. So I don't know what we're gonna do about that. Okay. I want to make sure that this is pretty well covered up here, because I know the cloud is going to cover some of this, but on the very edge some of it might peek through, potentially. Okay. Alright, so I guess we'll pick back up in here. Why not? I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, but that's okay. I do need a drink though. Give me 1 second. Okay. So let's see, that looks like we're pretty much in frame. I think if I want to pull this closer to me, I'm gonna have to adjust the camera. There. We'll just start to get this section worked into here. Now I'm using a small gauge needle. Some kits might have a number size on their needles. I don't know what to tell you guys. All I can tell you is that these were size small or size S. This is how my needles came in my kit. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And hold on to these tubes because they're good to put the broken needles into, because your needles will break eventually. Whether that be just from needle fatigue, like metal fatigue, or an accident. Most of mine have been through
That's me, sorry.
okay, I didn't know what it was. Through accidentally not paying attention. I was gonna say maybe accidental carelessness, but wasn't intentionally being careless, it just kind of happened. But yeah, and then you're like, well, now how do I dispose of this? Because it's very sharp still. Some of them I had disposed of in like a plastic water bottle that was empty that I just threw in the trash. Until I realized I should probably just start putting them back into the tube that they came in. The little thick plastic test tube. It's probably as good of a place as any to put them in there. I still have a good number of them in there that are not broken. So we haven't had to order new tubes yet, and I've had this kit. Oh gosh. We've had this for even just maybe 3 years now? 4? And I haven't had to acquire new needles yet. Maybe I'm just lucky. I don't know. I mean, I've definitely had to replace the needle in here, but I haven't had to order more needles. I haven't run out. Okay. Next bit of our orangey color here. As we are working our way across. And it's going to take a little bit of time because I am layering up these colors a bit. So that way I don't have too many thin spots where I've got the dark gray. And you could have gone with a different base color felt. This is just what I had. This was the next color on the stack. Because I had originally bought felt when I was going to do the 8x10 Bob Ross series. And come to find out, it wasn't quite 8x10. I tried to make it work with a couple pieces, but I ended up getting a little frustrated because that was the size I wanted it to be, and ended up getting different felt. And then I had this felt just sitting there, and I'm like, I really need to do something with this, but what are we gonna do? Well, this is what we're doing with it. We made magnets in the previous series. And we made those 3 inches by 3 inches. So this is a little bit bigger than that. So that's what I was saying. This is definitely going to take a little bit longer than those. I just don't know by how much. All right. So I think this one. It's a little bit thin in there. I mean, I could probably try to lay that guy like in there. I mean, of course, I could just do the first pass entirely and then come back. I've got fuzz like stuck to the end of my nose. It's driving me crazy. I just like feel it like floating in the fan that's moving. I could just do the first pass and then come back and layer it up in any place that really feels like it needs it. Or I could just be sure I'm happy with it in the first swipe across. So I might bring, there's like the faintest bit of like a dusty purple in here. Now I have like a dusty purple. I just don't know if the dusty purple, I mean, we could change that color from blue to purple. And see if the color I have for the water, because the color I was going to use feels more like our watercolor. To be perfectly honest. So we will see. We will see. See how things are feeling. As we are dabbing along. I'm sorry it's not super exciting. It's gonna take a little bit of time before it starts to get like real progress being super visible. Because this is like the boring spot where we are just getting started. But like every project has that. Like you have to, the boring parts are part of it, essentially. Like not everything is super, super exciting. But the real progress won't really start showing. That's a thin spot. I didn't quite get that in the right spot. That's okay. I can just slap another bit of fluff over that. And it should be fine. Like probably the silly part is that I'm using a lot of this color in this spot where I don't know how much of it's gonna end up being super visible in the end over here. I will say I have been noticing the color mix that they put together to make this shade. There's like, there's sections that look a little bit orange, there's sections that look a little bit yellow. So it does look like a slight mix of shades. but the more I get it layered up on itself, the more it feels a little more like a dull Indian yellow. So this section's gonna be, I've got mountains that are gonna sit on this line here, and they're gonna kind of like these 2 or 3 different layers in there, possibly 2. I don't really think it's 3. And I don't really want them to be higher than this line. Like the highest peak I want to be up to there, I think. It might come just over it. But kind of see how things play out here. Of course, the deeper colors could just be where I've just layered the heck out of this. So I'm probably really gonna have to shave this guy down on the back before I mount him. Right, because when we get all done, I'll take our razor that we cleaned our mat with and just shave everything so it's not quite so much loose fluff back here. So that, this is facing the other way, wasn't it? So that we get a good amount of surface that's not loose that will glue to our mounting block. And you don't necessarily have to mount it. You could just like attach a little dowel rod guy and use that to hang it with. But if you do it that way, your back will be visible. So whatever you got going on back here, and your edge will be visible. So you'll see this felt edge, and you'll see 2 layers of fluff. You'll see the layer on the front that is a little bit flatter, and then you'll have the layer that's on the back. So if you don't frame it, that will be visible, just so you know. If that doesn't bother you, then hey, no worries. All right. This guy all worked into here. Now there are multi-needle handles. I do have one. It has enough slots in it to put 8 needles in, but it like has them in a circle. So whenever I do use it, I feel like anything that was in the middle is not getting stabbed, and I almost feel like I'm having to work harder with that one. I know it sounds silly, because you wouldn't think having that many more needles that you're working with. Gosh, in there it just seems so much thinner than the rest of it, doesn't it? Like it's a different, like it looks different. I know we've gone over that spot. But like the multi needle handle, once you get the needles in there, it's a lot heavier. And I know that sounds silly, but it's a lot heavier. And my arm gets a lot more tired. Or my arm gets more tired a lot faster. There we go. Word placement is important in sentences. My brain begs to differ, but even when I'm reading something, it will try to move the words around, which is terribly exhausting at times. But yeah, I've tried using it, So I was like, oh, I'll use this. It'll make it go a lot faster to stab in because we're stabbing with how many needles? Now, granted, I could put in less needle, but it's a lot thicker of a handle to hold on to, and it's just like super awkward. So I'd rather just plod along with my single little guy here. And just take my time. It's just better for me. Again, better for me. Everything that you may attempt to do in all things is going to come down to personal preference and what works better for you, as long as you're kind of doing it the way you're supposed to be doing it. Like, does that make sense? It's like, as long as you're getting to the end result that's required. I mean, granted, if you have to use a specific program to do the thing, that's a little different, but like, I know some things won't get you the same exact end result, but at least as far as art is considered, you know, we're getting there. It might not be as fast as other people. And I might not do it the exact same way as other people do it. But if we get the end product that we're looking for, then that's really where I want to be, and we'll figure it out. I really want to try making a my own paint palette, but most people that I've seen do it have used resin to cover it in, though, and I don't want to mess with resin. I don't really have an area where I can do the resin where it'll be okay to set up with. And I've got cats in the house and dogs, and the fumes can be harmful to pets. I don't really have anywhere outside that I can do it that's not like out in the open that I can keep it from like bugs landing on it or what have you. So, or just debris. We live on a very busy road, and I could sweep our front porch in the morning, and by the end of the day there will be another layer of dust on it. It's infuriating. Just from the traffic and things getting kicked up, and so I'm not sure what I can coat it with. Because it will be wet. Because it's a paint palette. There will be water on it. I don't know if I can use like polyurethane and just let the polyurethane like cure for X number of days before or I use it, like 45 days or something. But if it's not really going to be waterproof, then there's no point. Because like if I sip water on it, or if the paint that's wet is on there, starts, making watermarks show up on the thing, that's not going to work. But the couple of people that I've seen make them, they're like, oh yeah, no, I covered it in resin. And I'm like, Right. Not what I'm looking for. And that might be my only option. And if that's my only option, then I'll just have to figure out something else. But my gouache palette, I want to get some egg plates for. I saw one egg plate at the one antique store that we went to over the weekend. I guess last weekend they were having a retiring sale, so like everything must go. Like furniture was 50% off, and they had one set of drawers that I liked, and I was like, oh, this might work for storing art supplies in, so I can get away from using the plastic tower that I have. That the drawers are warping and are being problematic on opening towards the bottom of it. But it was $160, and I was like, oh, I just don't have that kind of cash on me right now. And I was also afraid that it was actually worth something. So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be putting art supplies in this. But we found something for my mom that was, oh no, it was furniture that was 20% off, and I think everything else was 50. Maybe that's what it was. But we found something for my mom. We haven't given it to her yet, though. She has a sticker chart. We're trying to encourage her to get out of the house. So, like, every time she comes walking with us in the morning when we take the dogs to the park, we give her a sticker. And she also gets a sticker if she has any cigarettes left over at the end of the day, because we're trying to get her cigarette intake down. And when she gets X amount of stickers, she gets a chicken to add to her chicken collection that we pay for. I know it sounds ridiculous, but she needs some sort of incentive to try to cut down on the amount that she's smoking. So, you know, whatever works, right? It's not stupid if it works. We got her down to like 9 cigarettes, and she's struggling. And we're like, we're gonna have to drop to 8 soon, and she thought we were joking. So we dropped to 8, and Russell was like, well, look, you can get the 9th one back if you walk with us in the morning. Because lately she had been like, no, I don't want to go. I don't feel like it. We're like, all right. No sticker, no extra sticker then. And, but ever since he started telling her that she'd get the 9th cigarette back if she walked with us in the morning, she hasn't missed a day. Because she was like a pack a day for a little while. And then she was having this cough that like just wouldn't quit. And the ones at a doctor's is like, well, you really need to cut down, because that's not helping your situation. So that was the compromise that we came up with her. So she's getting close to needing or getting another chicken from us. So since it was on sale and we found one, we're like, we'll just put it away until we get till she gets her sticker quota in a couple of weeks. We're like, why not? It saves us from having to try to find one that she doesn't have from either Tractor Supply or Hobby Lobby. It kills me that Hobby Lobby has like the largest selection of like chicken stuff, rooster stuff. But lately we've been lucking out and finding a few at some of these like antique stores. I say that with quotes because not everything in them is antiques. It's more or less like an indoor flea market booth that's unattended, that there's like one cashier for the whole thing and they just record how much that particular booth sold in like a ledger, I guess. So they know who's getting what cut of what money, essentially. While the owner of the location gets a percentage of the sale and whatever rent these people are paying for their vendor space. So it's not technically all antiques. Some stuff's a little more vintagey than what I would consider antique. Some of it's just random junk. But we found a few roostery chicken things from a couple places that she definitely doesn't have because they're old enough where they were either like hand painted or a single person made it themselves. You know, it doesn't look mass produced necessarily. I mean, it might have been at one point, but it's not anything that I've seen around. It definitely doesn't look like brand new. Alright, let's get in some more fluff here. I did find out that the state we might move to might allow tiny homes. Which is interesting. So, you know, I mean, we would have to actually look into it further and like building codes for lot locations and stuff, but it's interesting. Because most places it's like, no. In case we can't find what we're looking for. Within our budgeto. Something to think about. Especially if life goes sideways and we don't have to have a room for his mom. Alright, stab, 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 stab. Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a decision soon about how I want to, handle these clouds. What did you make? I couldn't place the smell. Alright, getting some more fluffy stuff here. Okay. Hang on, what is this about? Oh. Okay. Sorry, Stream Elements was trying to notify me of a new sponsorship available. Except it's not worth it for me to attempt to do the sponsorships because I don't have enough butts in the seat to not lose money on these. Because a lot of them require you to do X, which means you have to put money into it to attempt to get money out of it, right? Like, they just don't straight up pay you to do the thing. Like, HelloFresh, for example. Like, you have to buy, like, X number of meals. And then, like, record footage of you making it. You gotta read the fine print on that stuff. And then you have to, like, talk about it for X amount of time during your live stream or have a banner up promoting it and stuff. And because I don't have a lot of people in here at any one time, that would actually be me losing money in the long run. Maybe if we ever get a larger community, I'll think about it. Like, not necessarily HelloFresh, but like, I'll think about some of them. In general. So if you come in at an angle, you can kind of shift the placement a little bit. You can kind of walk it to position it slightly differently. But it's got to be at an angle to try to make that happen. Normally you want to be stabbing up and down. Okay. So we haven't gotten tremendously far today, but at the same time, not terrible. Considering the size of the piece and how dark our base fabric is here. Because that's been a factor. Trying to get everybody filled in. I don't normally like working on white either, though. Just because then it's like glaringly obvious if you've got a slightly thin spot. And that can be just as problematic as a super dark color. Kind of prefer like a lighter toned gray or a tan. Usually, but like I said, this was on the stack of the next color in the felt that I'm trying to use up, so I was like, alright, I guess this is what our next base color is going to be. Alright. I got that piece popped in. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and turn that. You can kind of see some of the yellow starting to make its presence known on the mat. Not a huge deal. You're gonna have fluff stuck to it. Especially if you're doing the landscapes. Maybe not quite as much fluff if you're doing critters. But, you know, it's a thing. It's part of it. So we're just kind of moving into the next section here of this color. I mean, we still have quite a fair amount of ground to cover with this color. That's just kind of the way it goes. And I'm not trying to rush this, so all of the loud traffic all of a sudden. Very busy day out there today. I guess coming into the holidays, some people have taken off. I could never really take off holidays. When I worked for the craft store, there was no such thing as taking off a holiday. We were either open or we were closed. like that was it. I think, did we have shortened hours? I'm trying to think, did we do shortened hours for 4th of July? I don't remember. It might have just been another day. I don't think we switched to Sunday hours. Maybe we switched to Sunday hours. Christmas Eve we had shortened hours. And 4th of July we might have closed at 6 or something. It might have been shortened hours. It was very rare. Like, we were closed Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and maybe Easter Sunday. That was it. Like, Labor Day, Memorial Day, those were just another day as usual. I don't remember if 4th of July was shortened hours. I know Christmas Eve was shortened hours. Because when I was merchandising, one year, the managers all let us leave like an hour or two early, and they stayed and closed the store. Like, we thought we were gonna be there till like 6 or something, and then they came around at like 4 o'clock and started like selectively letting people leave. I don't know if those were people whose departments were in pretty good shape. But when I was working front end, there was no such thing as leaving early. Because front end supervisor, I had to help shut down the registers. And make sure everything was spotless. Or as spotless as possible. So whoever came in the day after Christmas didn't have a bunch of crap to deal with. Which was tough because we were still kind of busy on Christmas Eve. Now, as the day wore on, I think the mall was probably more busy than us, but it wasn't like it was no business at all. It was still pretty steady. Now, when I worked at the casino, if you wanted a holiday off, you had to put in for it for like a year in advance. Like, as soon as the calendar year rolled over, you were like putting in for it. They supposedly tried to rotate in my department, because we were a small department, who got off what holidays. But depending on how staffed we were, there was no guarantee that you'd get Christmas off. And they usually gave it to the one lady that had kids. But her kids were older, and the one lady that had teenagers was a little vexed when the other lady always got it, because she's like, come on. I accidentally got off a New Year's Eve due to a family emergency. I was going to try to come in, and my boss was like, no, don't bother coming in. And I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, no, it's okay. He's like, we've got it. And I'm like, okay. It was like, my dad was in the hospital and he was in the ICU, and I was supposed to come in that night. I'm like, I can. I'm gonna be a few minutes late though. And they're like, don't worry about it. They're like, don't bother coming in. It's alright. You're not in trouble. And I'm like, okay. But he was one of my better bosses that I've ever had. But any other holiday, there was no such thing as a holiday for employees there. It was a 24/7 business, always open. So we always had to have staff, to the point where if it snowed, they thought it was going to be bad, where the buses were gonna shut down. They were trying to like departments would get blocks of rooms in the hotel to share between employees in their departments. So they'd be like, "Hey, want to stay overnight?" I'm like, "Hey, no, I really don't want to." I don't even know why they had me stay, because the other lady that they had brought me in extra for on the one snowstorm ended up coming in. And I'm like, okay. And in the meantime, I'm stuck here for 3 days because the bus is shut down. Like, I was so beside myself. I was like, can I just walk home? Because it'll take me like all day, but can I just walk home? Like, I was so over it. I was like, I just want to go home. I was like, they finally got the buses running, and my dad was like, well, I'll take your night shift this night, but he's like, I can't dig the car out. And I'm like, I'll dig it out. So as soon as I got home, I had to dig out the car. Which was not fun. Because I think I was running on like 4 hours of sleep over 3 days. Because I could not sleep in the hotel. It was so loud in the tower and on the floor they put us in. I think like all of the employees that were, or most of the employee rooms, or that they were using for the employees to stay through the storm, were all next to each other. And everybody was like having a party up there, and it was just constant noise, and I was just like, ugh. And I wasn't thrilled with where we were because the wind was so bad that it was coming down the elevator shafts, and the elevator doors were refusing to close on some of them because of it, and then the elevators were getting stuck because they were like emergency brake stopping because the doors were like coming open on the floors. And I'm like, oh my god, this is not ideal. So I think we were trying to use the stairs whenever possible, because that was not an ideal situation. I did not want to get trapped in an elevator, because some people were getting trapped in the elevators because the doors were being weird. It's like, no, I don't want that. Especially when they're gonna be like, where are you? Like, I'm stuck in the elevator. So, that wasn't fun. But yeah, no, you worked Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, usually. Christmas was real busy for them. Because they had a lot of the Asian clientele coming down from New York for it, so they were packed. They had like shows at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Because they were so late in the night because they gave them time to close their businesses for the day and get the buses down. New Year's, usually nobody was off. Usually everybody worked. Which is why I was surprised when they told me not to bother coming in. I was like, okay. Maybe they weren't that busy. I don't know. Or our department wasn't like terribly busy, or they just made do. I have no idea. Is he looking to go out? Who is that? He might be hungry, because you said he didn't eat very much for breakfast. But it's 2:30, so maybe we'll just wrap up here for today. So that way we can get the doggo some snackies, because I have to entertain the other doggo, because she won't give him a chance to eat, because she's a little chubby sausage roll. And it's not time for her dinner yet. Alright, so we didn't get terribly far today. I wasn't expecting to get very terribly far, but we've definitely gotten somewhere. So we got the light blue of the sky in, and we are currently working on getting our kind of like yellowy orange in here. There's still some sections that need a little bit more fluff to them, but we'll get there. So I think we'll call it there for today. My arm is getting really tired anyhow. So I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me this afternoon. I do appreciate it on this adventure. Don't forget to follow the socially links. Those will take you to the Ko-fi for those that don't want to donate through Twitch. Take you to the Blue Sky. That's where I am instead of Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it now. There's also links to the eBay store and to the YouTube channel where most of the live streams are archived. Tomorrow we'll be back and we will be in Planet Zoo tomorrow working on our children's zoo. And we'll be back in the butterfly garden area tomorrow. So, thank you guys. I appreciate your time. I appreciate being your work buddy, your lurk buddy, whatever you want to call it. And I will see y'all tomorrow for some Planet Zoos. Have a good one.